staff through the ringer, and we ask a lot of questions and demand a lot of information in a short period of time. So I just want to tell them thank you. It's much appreciated, and it makes our job easier. And with that, that's all I've got, unless anybody's got any questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Thank you so very much for providing, for the work you've done, you did on this financial report. I want to just say that I want to just ask a few questions just for clarity, okay?
Sure.
So I have 5 pages I want to reference to.
Okay.
Okay, so if you will, I noticed that in your analysis report, these are the things that you said that you basically looked at financial statements. Is that right? You looked at all the bank's financial statements?
Yes, we look at all the bank accounts. We look at all the bank statements.
You said you look at balance sheets?
We don't look at every account on the balance sheet. So what you gotta remember is, in an audit, we have to determine a couple of things. One, we have to look at where your risks are at, and we also have to look at a term called materiality.
Right.
You couldn't pay us to look at every dollar and penny through here. So we have certain thresholds that we determine of what we think is material. And if it's material, then yes, it's going to be audited. If it's an immaterial balance and we don't think it's a very risky area, then no, we probably didn't spend any, if very little, if any time on that area, okay?
And you looked at capital fund reports?
Yes.
And you also said in your analysis that you did a sampling of each. So a small sample on each account? How did you do that?
No, so on the bank accounts, we look at those 100%. So we review the bank reconciliations and we tie that to your financial statements, to your trial balance.
Okay.
When it comes to sampling, we're sampling a sample of 40. It could be disbursements, it could be revenue, and you're talking a sample of 40 might be representative of 2% of the total population. So we're just getting a small snapshot, and when we're doing sampling, we're testing for specific things. So a lot of times we'll sample for internal control purposes. Are you following your internal control procedures over disbursements? Now, when we're looking at capital assets, we look at the dollar figure that you capitalize your assets at. So the county's capitalization policy is $5,000. So we pull fixed assets over $5,000 to determine if those are capital assets. So we have specific parameters that we look at.
Okay, so I'm just gonna highlight these 5 pages. On page 10, you sort of gave us an idea on page 10 as far as what we were over and how much expenditures were. So in other words, when we did this budget, I just want to hear it from you. At the end of the year, when we had our budget, were we not in a negative on our budget?
So when you did your budget,
At the end of the year?
at the end of the year, you had $2 million over, so you got $2 million more in revenue than what you budgeted, and you spent $1.2 million in expenditures over your budget. So you were to the good of $800,000. The reason it goes negative is because you did not use all the transfers from reserves of the almost 1.2. You only used 300,000. So that's why that's different. But if you look on page 68, that will show you, yes, you got more revenue, but yes, you had more expenditures. But if you look at it just revenue and expenditure wise, you were still $873,000 to the good.
But we had to go in reserve to get that money. Is that not right, though?
You had to go in reserves because of some of the transfers.
Okay. So page 35, note number 2. It says that, for that statement there, says as of June 30th, 2025, that 18.2 million of the county bank which carrying value was maybe exposed to at risk. And then that statement down there, uninsured by FDIC, collateral held by pledging bank not in county's name. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so what happens is when you have your bank balance is more than FDIC insurance, which is only 250,000. So when you have a lot of your money at one bank, the bank pledges collateral for that. So it's not in your name, but it's pledged on your accounts.
Okay.
And so what we have to disclose is that's a requirement by the state of South Carolina. So any county or municipality or school district is required by state law to have the bank deposits secured either by FDIC or it's got to be collateralized with some type of collateral. And most of those are going to be like Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae type government bonds. And so that's all that's saying is that amount was covered by pledged collateral.
Okay.
Okay?
So not by FDIC.
Not by the FDIC.
Okay. Page 60. I noticed that ARPA funds, and I'm really concerned about that. ARPA funds, I see a statement about transfer funds from ARPA funds to Economic Development Fund and Recreation Fund. Those ARPA funds that we receive from the federal government, are those not supposed to be special funds for use for that purpose?
No, they were, you can, yeah. I mean, Wes can kind of fill you in on some of that stuff, but they, how much, remind me how much?
$10 million.
You got under 10, didn't you?
We got under 10.
So because the county got under $2 million, they relaxed a lot of those restrictions. And so it was basically, you could use it for whatever purposes the county deemed necessary. Most of it went to capital, but some went to
Predominantly to recreation.
to bonuses, but I think some went to, I think a good majority of it went to the golf course,
Exactly.
which is recreation. So, but yeah, so anything that was over the 10 million, there were a lot more specific restrictions on that money. But the federal government determined, because what the problem was, you had some of these small towns that didn't have a utility system and some of these other restrictions, and so they were struggling on how they were gonna be able to spend the money. And so the federal government came in and said, if you received under 10 million, you could determine how you wanted to spend the money. And so, no, there wasn't any specific restrictions on that.
And last question you answered when you told us to look through 60 through 61 through 66, gives us the whole expenditure. We usually get that anyway, but you outline everything, how in every department, right?
Yeah, it'll go through each line item of revenue, and it'll go through each department. And so the department, the expenditure is gonna be operating expenses and personnel, okay? That's how it'll be broken down. So you'll be able to go through each one of those, and you can determine how good or bad each department did according to the budget.
Just for notation, those things in parentheses, are they not negative?
Yes, those are negative.
So that means we have a
the
lot of
amounts, the
departments.
amounts in the parentheses means you overspent the budget.
You overspent the budget.
But remember, you also received $2 million more in revenue, so
Right.
you gotta take that in consideration when you've got the over expenditure of the budget. You did have the revenue, so make sure you understand that yes, we did overspend the budget, but we also had $2 million of more revenue that we could spend. And so a lot of that was probably promulgated for those expenditures. So just make sure y'all take that in consideration.
Let me mention too, recognition of the grant, completion of the grant, like with the airport and then also the detention center. That was a really significant chunk of that. It was probably $1.2 million of that, expenditure that exceeded budget.
But you said on your sampling, you said up to $5,000 and above, you don't do anything $5,000 and below?
No. Because you're not capitalizing anyway. Now, we might pick something up as far as a disbursements test or control test or something like that, but when we're looking for fixed assets, it's $5,000 and above, because that's your capitalization policy. So there's no sense for us to look at anything below that, because it's not gonna be capitalized anyway. And so, it gets back to, again, you know, we have a certain price and a certain amount of time we have to do work, so we've gotta be conscious about our work and what we do, and so, yeah, so, you know, we've got some of those thresholds that we look at, and because your capitalization policy is 5,000, it's 5,000 and above.
So nothing under that, you don't check, or there was no way to check, for y'all don't check them up, just because of price and time and everything else, so.
No, unless it gets pulled when we do a disbursements test, and it might get called in a sample test like that, but for looking at capital assets, no, we do not look at that.
Anybody else? We good?
All right?
Mr. Wood, thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Wes, we thank you and your staff, for, doing this audit, make sure everything is in place. Next, Sheriff McNeil, how you doing, sir? Yeah, well, wobble on up here.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize, I have some packets, and it's for you to look at your leisure. Basically, it's what we're gonna talk about, but those packets are for you to look at later. If you have any questions about anything I've said, please just give me a call. I'll call the office. I want to thank you for this opportunity that you're giving me to come to speak with you about where the sheriff's department is and the detention center and where we come from in the past year, our first year. You can kind of halfway follow along, but that's a lot, and I somewhat have this kind of, it's more concise with me than it will be with what you have, so it'll be more to look at later on. Beginning our budget year in July 1, 2025, we began our budget at $2,974,635. That was what was allotted. As of right now, our percentage, we've expended 49% of our budget. So we're actually somewhat below budget right now based on where we are in the past 6 months. For the detention center, we were at $2,820,000, and we've at this time we've expended 48%, so we're even better with the detention center. Staffing wise, in the past year at the sheriff's office, we've hired 20 staff. We've lost 12 in the process from that. We started out with 14 officers short. At this particular time, we're right now 3 short. We just hired 2 people, hopefully this week. Both of them are certified officers. Beginning of the year, we had a hard time getting folk because of because of salaries. So what we ended up having to do was we had to freeze 2 positions with staffing. We took those salaries and added it to the other 34 people that we have working, which helped us and be able to retain people, but also hire some more people. But we lost 2 people, and we lost 2 positions right now in the process. We didn't lose them, we just froze those positions. At the same time, the people that we lost, most of them we lost, they resigned to go to other places where they could make more money. 3 of those people did not pass through the academy, so we lost 3 that way. But at the same time, we did something probably somewhat unusual. We had 3 staff members that are civilians. but there are positions where they do have to go out and spend time in the community, in their jobs. One being the victim's advocate, our sex, our sexual, the person that's over our sex, group, as well as our, prevention officer. So what we decided to do with them was make them class 3 officers. Because if they go out to the public, which they have to do, we would actually have to put an officer with them. By making them a class 3 officer, it allows them to go to the academy, get certified as class 3, and we don't have to send anybody out with them. They can now go out, and do the job that they need to do. And that was one way we could use and save money and take away some of the overhead that we had, people having to go out, causing more overtime. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. With the detention center, we started out with 20 and we're now at 19. They're pretty stable. There's a back and forth. Again, it's a salary situation with them, but we've been able to, in the past year, get their salaries from 24 up to 31,000. So there's a $7,000 increase in the past year by moving and doing some things around, and we've been able to maintain them pretty good. On an average, we're able to keep up with staffing pretty well now since we made those changes. With vehicles, we are assigned 40 vehicles for the sheriff's office. And keep in mind, we have 40 vehicles and we have 36 people working, so that keeps us kind of short. And here's where it gets tricky with us. Out of those 40, we have 7 vehicles right now that's inoperable. Either they're having engine problems or some kind of problems, or they've been wrecked, and we're in the process, hopefully, of the insurance company doing something to get that done. Also, out of that 40, 9 of those vehicles are over 100,000 miles. If you know anything about driving 20, as much as we drive cars, once you get around 100, 125,000 miles on a car, they're being well used. And it becomes an issue with us that they're staying in the maintenance shop more than they're staying on the road. So that's a cost for us as well. If we go to civil processing, I'm skipping down. Again, you can look in there and see. Civil processing has to do with papers that we serve. And I'll start with papers served starting in 2023. We were assigned 2,400, I'll say roughly 2,400 warrants that had to be served, and only 1,652 was served. So we only served 68% of those papers. In 2024, we were assigned 2,578, and 1,779 was served, so that was 69% that was served. This past year in 2025, this new year we just started, we were assigned 2,500, and we served 2,321, meaning we served 86%. The more that we serve, the more time that we have, obviously the more papers that we're serving for some reason. To get them more served, we have to have more people. Right now, we only have 2 processors serving papers. What we've been able to do, we do have SROs, and when school is not in, we assign SROs to help serve those papers. It gives them something extra to do, and they're gonna be helping getting those things done. So that's been really helpful for us. If I look at, if you flip over to your executive activity narrative, which has to do with warrants, arrests, calls for service, incident reports, and the booking demographics from the detention center, we'll start with that. A comparative revenue of 2024 and 2025 activity data reflect a consistent and measurable increase across all reviewed enforcement and service categories, indicating a significant rise in operational demands, proactive enforcement efforts, and narcotics-related activities countywide. Total calls for service increased from 5,901 in 2024 to 6,351 in 2025, representing a 7.6% increase in calls for service. This growth reflects an overall rise in citizen demand for law enforcement and response and places increased workload pressure on patrol and support personnel countywide. We're having to do more, really with less, which doesn't make it good all the time when it comes to the officers. Overdose incidents increased from 19 in 2025 to 30 in in 2024 to 30 in 2025, representing a 57.9% increase in overdoses. This increase highlights the continued and escalating impact on substance abuse within the community. Correspondingly, fentanyl-related arrests increased from 8 to 15, an 87.5% increase for fentanyl arrests, suggesting both increased availability of fentanyl and a strengthened enforcement response targeting high-risk narcotics. Given those numbers make you think that we're not doing anything, because there's an increase in fentanyl, there's an increase in drugs. But I'll tell you now, there's an increase in drugs everywhere. I wish we could stop it. If I could stop it, I probably wouldn't be standing here. I'd be a czar for the United States. That's what I'd like to do. But we can do something we're going to talk about in just a few minutes when it comes to what we can do as far as looking at some type of prevention measures that we try to put in place to reduce that kind of number. But the biggest thing I can say with everybody listening to me right now is, if you know somebody that's selling, let somebody know. If you know somebody that's using, let us know and see if we can't get them some help. The biggest thing is getting help for folks who are struggling. Our biggest problem has to do with economics. When you don't have anything, you reach out for any source you can to find, to take away the numbness that we go through around here. And when you don't have jobs, you reach out to other places and do other things to find some type of relief. And that has a lot to do with the problem. Also selling. It's a way of making money. The problem with that also comes with one more problem. People begin to steal and do what they can do to get money to buy drugs. So that doesn't help us either. So everything has to do with something. And normally it evolves around economics. An overall narcotics arrest, and I'll keep on going, but the overall narcotics arrest rose from 86 to 100. And that's a 16.3% increase, demonstrating, again, as I said, sustained investigative and patrol emphasis on controlled substance violations. Warrants arrests showed a substantial increase from 197 warrants that we served to 268, reflecting a 36% increase, a rise indicating expanded warrant services activities and proactive accountability measures. So again, everything I'm saying shows that we're working more, we're working harder, with less of the same number that we've already had. Calls for services experienced notable growth in both municipalities. McCall's calls increased from 204 in 2024 to 719 in 2025, which would be an increase of 250, sorry about my glasses, y'all, 252.5% increase of calls for service from McCall, representing the most significant change across all measured categories and reflecting a sharp escalation in service demand and patrol response requirements. Cloud calls increased from 140 to 175, which is 25% increase rise, reflecting steady growth in activity within that jurisdiction. Our total number of arrests increased from 541 in 2024 to 630 in 2025, which is a 16.4% overall increase, aligning with the broader upward trends in enforcement activities, warrant service, and narcotics-related incidents. Collectively, this data demonstrates a clear increase in workload, enforcement intensity, and public safety demands between 2024 and 2025. And believe me, we aren't getting any breaks. We're working quite a bit. There's quite a bit of overtime because of all of this. And again, it has to do with economics. I'll go to violent crime and simple assaults, murder and manslaughter. We had 5 this past year. Aggravated assaults were 77. Robberies were 7. Criminal sexual conducts 10, arson 3, burglary incidents were 87, drug violations were 63, weapons violations were 15, domestic violence is 30, assaults, which are non-aggravated, is 187. That's quite a bit for us. I'll be glad if you call me and we'll go through the numbers and let you know how many we have founded and unfounded and how many arrests were made as a result of everything I just said. And I'll be glad to talk with you about that. Our victims advocate is one of the persons that we changed her job responsibilities from a civilian to a class 3 officer because she has to go out. And that total number of contacts that she had was 547 on an average per month of 46. So that means she's having to go out at least twice a day to leave the office to go to see a victim or have a victim come to an office. That's a lot of work. And had we not changed her position to a class 3, that means every time that she went, I would have had to have a police officer with her to go out. Again, tying up more people, more time. So we've tried to do things to be helpful. Our sex offender registry, right now we're 84, we have 84 sex offenders in this county. They're registered or active offenders in Marlboro County. We have 0 offenders out of compliance in the past for 2025. Everybody's actually in compliance. Again, this person, I need to say and give her kudos, Ms. Jacobs, because we were in compliance and completed our SLED audit, and she did a great job with that. So we are in compliance. She's another person that we changed her status from civilian to a class 3 because she has to go out and meet with sex offenders to check to see where they are and what they're doing. Again, it just shows what we're trying to do to save as much as we can on cost. 30 of our offenders submitted their annual fees, and that came to $4,570. That money goes into the sex offenders account, and what we've done with that, as we did with the victims advocate, we're taking those funds from the civil processing, the money from the sex offender registry, and we were able to give those people raises from there, because we couldn't, obviously the county didn't have funds for that, so we took money from those accounts to raise their salaries to something that's compatible to everybody else in the office. Our drug prevention officer, she ended up with 79 calls for service reported as overdoses. By that I mean we had 79 overdoses in Marlboro County this past year, 10 which resulted in overdose deaths. And we are, along with the coroner's office, trying to find out as much as we can to see how and what we can do as far as trying to prosecute those people that we can find that may have been responsible for the death of these 10 people. 92 suspected overdoses reported from our OD mapping, and that simply means that law enforcement does not go on every overdose call, but EMS does. So the OD mapping shows every call that EMS went on, not every call that we go on, because some calls we don't go on, they go. So there was a total of 92 on the OD mapping. That means the EMS went to 92 overdose calls. We did have numerous events in the community about opioid awareness. We've tried to go in every area in the community to let people know where we are and what's going on when it comes to overdoses. We did have 3 back-to-school events with drug prevention, and we had 3 presentations that we did in different schools. We had operations prevention events, and we had some school that we did attend some Red Ribbon Week at some schools. We have had 1 DEA take back where people could bring drugs into and turn drugs back in. And we've given out over 400, distributed over 400 Narcan. That is and the drug prevention person is also another person that we've used and changed her position from a civilian position to a class 3 because she has to go out and do what she does. She's also in the detention center doing prevention with people who are arrested for drugs and they be on drugs. So she goes into the detention center to talk to them to help with their problems. I'm getting close to the end. Grants. I'll go over the grants right quick. Our school resource officer program via the DPS, we do have 3 officers that the state pays for, and that comes to a total of $303,984. The school resource officer program via the Marlboro County School District pays for 2 officers, which is $185,532. Our DPS body worn camera grant was for $21,300.60. That was reimbursement. It's in the budget, but that's reimbursement money for us for the licensing that we pay for our cameras and other things. So we was just awarded that recently. DPS Highway Safety Overtime Grant, we were able to, and this is not reimbursable, but it is a $10,000 grant to help with overtime, having to do anything with highway safety. Our JAG grant for a radio upgrade grant was $66,860, which the county, and I appreciate that, had to do a 10% matching, and we did get that $60,000 from the county. We do have two that's pending, grants that are pending. One is a JAG mobile data grant for MDT project, and we're waiting to find out how much that will be. I think we've been awarded, we just don't know how much that is. Secondly, there's one, a walkthrough metal detector project. We don't know that amount either, but we have been awarded that as well, but we have no idea what that would be. Appropriations that we've applied for, I'm glad to see someone here from from Congressman Fry's office. We requested federal appropriations in the amount of $860,000 from our federal appropriations for technology and equipment upgrades. And we're hoping we're gonna be successful in getting that. I'm confident, I can't say we'll be for sure, but I'm kinda confident that it's coming. But we've also included in this appropriations, Clio and McCall as well. So the monies that we get will be, some of that money will go for some of their needs. One of the biggest things two things we're gonna be looking at in the appropriations has to do with MDTs. Well, first it would have to do with our records management system. We have to change system. The company that we've been with is sold out to another company, which has increased our records management costs substantially. And we have to have records management because that's how we do NCIC. So that has gone up. So that's one of the things that we'll be using that money for. Secondly, we need equipment, a lot of technology equipment that we need that we don't have. MDTs in cars, that's those little things you put in the cars. So we can keep up with what's going on. We can stop them from coming to the office all day. They can work right there where they are. That's helpful. We can pull up warrants, we can pull up whatever we need right in the car. And I hate to say that, but that should have been done 10 years ago. But it's not, so that's not neither here nor there. But those are the kind of things that we're looking at trying to get done. Secondly, we do have we requested state appropriations in the amount of $951,000 roughly, and we're waiting to see where that goes. We know that the governor's budget went into effect yesterday. We're gonna wait and see where it goes, but we have put in funds for that. Hopefully, we'll get a nod in that as well. I'm kind of monitoring that kind of closely to see where we are. Two more things. One has to do with detention center. I think all of us are aware of the problems that we've had at the detention center. I appreciate the council's effort in going forward with that. That you agreed for Mosley Architect to come in and take a look and see where our problems are. They were here a little over a week ago. They had people come in to do some looking, some surveyors came in, some engineers came in to see just where our problems are. And based on what they found out so far, that they determined that there's a long-standing structural deficiencies, poor ventilation, and condensation problems are significant contributors to the mold and the mildew that we have problems with. Detention center staff are working diligently with the engineers to correct these issues and mitigate any problems. Thomas and Sutton surveyors have assessed the drainage concerns and determined the land has a high moisture content that present challenges with flooding and moisture. Mosley Architects have also determined the exhaust fans are not functioning and the existing drainage system is substandard. So those things I just mentioned will have to be corrected. The cost, I don't have an idea. We don't know what it's gonna cost, but we do know that it has to be fixed. We know that. That there's no question about that. That has to be fixed. And I'm thankful for you for taking the initiative to tell us to go forward to get that done. Lastly, the training facility that we're working on in McCall, and I wanna thank McCall, the city of McCall, the mayor, and the folk in McCall, all they're doing to help us get that done, and any contributors that's given us to that project. We are almost 2/3 of the way completed. They're doing the roughing in now. The building is up. It's about completely roughed in. We'll still be looking for a payment in a couple of weeks, I'm quite sure. We'll make that second payment, and then their final stage will be completed. At that time, the training facility will be completed. If we get these funds from the appropriation, some at least a third of those appropriations should and will go toward continuing that facility in some form, because that's what some of those funds were for, to go forward with that. And that's my 2025 overview of what the Sheriff's Office and Detention Center is doing. Any questions? And thank you again very much.
Thank you, sir.
I have one thing more. The company that came in, the engineering company that came in and gave the assessment, are they gonna help us get some sort of indication of how much that's gonna cost?
I would think so. I think once they do it, then I think they'll compile what they found, come back to us and say, this is what you need to do. And once they do that, then I'm quite sure they will have some numbers to give us, which then would allow us to go out and find a company or someone to come in and to make those changes that's needed at the detention center.
Sheriff,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you so much for your highlighted report. I just want to ask this question concerning the state and federal inmate program. That program, will it still exist for 2026?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The only, and let me share this. Any state, I can't say federal, but state inmates, there are quite a few around the state that go to, can go to different detention centers. What has to happen is you put bids in, you have to put a bid in asking them if they want to come here. Some do, some don't. And that's the key to it. Some inmates, they get to pick and choose where they want to go to work. And they may not want to come to Marlboro. So I don't know what you do to entice them to come. You can't pay them, but you can pay them, but you can't pay them. So we have to look at what we can do to make them want to come in. And some do come. We have 2 or 3. Excuse me, we normally have 1 or 2 at all times, but they can't go out and work at any particular time. We just need somebody to go to the jail to get them out to do the things that they need done.
That's the point I wanted to make. Thank you for allowing them to be a part of the cleanup activities in the community, in District 4 and all throughout the county, and hoping that can continue. So do you have at least 3 or 4 now that are able to go out?
I'm not sure. I think it's either 2 or 3.
Okay.
I would like to say this in saying what you just said. Palmetto Pride, we all know, have quite a bit of grant money. One of the things that you can get, and it's something that we're working on now, trying to get, not through Palmetto Pride, but through appropriation funding, is flock cameras. Flock cameras can be used in certain areas to show where there's high
Littering.
And you can get flock cameras to go in those areas, which will help us in identifying who may be throwing trash.
Right.
But that would be something that you could look into as far as applying for that grant to put up flock cameras. Please keep in mind that if you do that, those cameras have to be on private property. And normally that's not hard, because if someone's on, especially farmers that may own property, would love for you to put a camera on their property because it keeps them safe. Those cameras they do wonders, and we're in the process of trying to get about 30 of them now around the county.
So I want to thank you and your crew again for District 4 cleanup. But this has nothing to do with your report, but I want to ask this question as far as how is Warren Bragg and his family?
They're doing fine. He moved into a house on number 9, Monday, Sunday? Saturday. Moved in Saturday. I talked with him yesterday. He met with the adjusters on his house yesterday. I think they're comfortable where they are. They moved into a Airbnb, so everything that they needed, with the exception of food, is there. And he is in, and like I said, I talked with him yesterday. I was hoping he was gonna be here tonight, but I can understand he's going through a lot. And I will, on his behalf, tell everybody who had anything to do in helping him get to where he is now, we appreciate it.
Okay.
And when I say we, I mean the sheriff's office and detention center, family as a whole, appreciates everything that everybody in this community has done to help him. If you've never lost anything, you don't understand what I'm about to say. It means a lot to know that people care enough about you. And the way that all of you have reached out to help him, I know it means a lot to him. Because he's not from here.
Well, thank you, sir. I just wanted to make that point because we do know that he was burned out, so we do know that the donations are still available to give, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Okay, moving on. Recognition of citizen, we have two people. Ms. Eva Safay.
Good evening to our council members, Mr. Clyburn, citizens and visitors. I'm Eva Shafay, as stated earlier, and I'm here tonight to invite you to celebrate Marlboro County and the book launch of This Far by Faith, the African American History of Marlboro County. Saturday, January 31st, 2026, at 3:00 p.m. at Cloud Elementary School. Because we have so many citizens and friends in other cities and states, we also offering watch parties. And the QR code will be available for anyone in another area to just log in for the celebration. The recommended attire is shades of green, dress to impress. Finally, this has been a 5-year project. So I just thank everyone who has helped me gather information, research, and etc. And I have for you a personal invitation. I expect all of you to please come. Help us celebrate Marlboro County. We are great people, and we're doing great things in Marlboro County, and we want the world to know. Thank you.
And you the author, correct?
And I'm the author, yes. Are there any questions, suggestions? I look for you on Saturday, January 31st, 3:00 p.m. at Cloud Elementary School. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next, we have the president of the NAACP, Ms. Betty Jo Quick.
Good afternoon, everyone. Council, Chairman, everyone present. I'm here this afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to stand before you all this afternoon. I just want to present to you all a play that is coming to Marlboro County, and it's an off-Broadway play. I'm going to pass some of these around so y'all can see. It's going to be February the 7th, and it's called Justice on Trial. And it's a play that's going all over the United States. And I think it's a great opportunity to bring something to our county and to the civic center that the county governs. And the tickets are, for VIP was $77, and general admission is $65. I've already sold 200 tickets thus far. And so what I want to do is present it to you all tonight and to ask the council if you can support this efforts, help me get some students to come to this play. It's a civil rights play about attorney and it's justice on trial, just different ones coming back to testify about different things that has happened in our country. Anyway, to get back for tickets, I have tickets and I have some tonight if anyone want one, but I only have general admission. I sold all the VIPs, and the Civic Center only holds 300 people. And so I think I've done pretty good thus far, but I wanted to present it to you all tonight and to let you know what's coming to our county, to ask you for your support and helping me generate and sell the rest of these tickets right here. So if y'all could, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for hearing me, and thank you for accepting me to come before you on this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So we got back-to-back weekends. Marlboro County got something going on in 2026. Okay, executive session? We do? Okay, can I get a motion to go to executive session?
Motion.
Second. Motion been made and seconded to go to executive session. We understand, Ms. Lawson will not be able to attend through her,
Thank you,
pain,
thank you.
okay? The meeting is out for a little few minutes. in favor? Okay. Out of executive session, back to the regular meeting at hand. Old business, ordinance number 876, an ordinance to amend the agreement for the development of a multi-county industrial and business park by and between Darlington County and Marlboro County, South Carolina, providing for the development of a jointly owned and operated industrial business park so as to include additional properties in Darlington County and Marlboro County as part of the joint county industrial park and other matter related thereto. This is our third reading.
This is the third reading of ordinance, basically streamlining our economic development process when it comes to multi-county parks.
Okay. I know we've been doing with Darlington County for the last 15 years, I know, since I've been on council. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. It is unanimous. Ordinance number 878, an ordinance authorizing the sale of the property known as portion of the tax map 027-00-02-048, located on the south side of the industrial park, not to exceed 10 plus or minus acres, to be determined by a new survey, and containing the building known as the Spec Building, owned by Marlboro County, to a project known as SPECL, its assessor and a sign. This is our second reading.
This is the second reading of a sale of property that we're pretty well aware of, and it's moving forward as intended.
Okay. May I get a motion?
I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 878.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor for the second reading? It is unanimous. Ordinance number 869, an ordinance authorizing pursuant to the Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Law of South Carolina, 1976, as amended to execute and the delivery of fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes agreement by and between Marlboro County, South Carolina, and Monarch Energy LLC, a company formerly known to the county as Project Hush, and one or more sponsor affiliates, to provide for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes, incentive, and certain special source revenue credit for the benefit of a project in the county and other matter related thereto. This is also the third reading.
This third reading of our energy project, we talked about this, we talked about the fact that they do have decommissioning plans that's actually required by the ordinance. And so, this is the third reading of that project. It is on private property, so it's not a county property that they're gonna be on, it's gonna be on private property. Their person that property is private owner.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Motion made second, in discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, ordinance, 869? Those opposed? 3. Okay, you got that, Ms. Rivers? 3 opposed, 5 for. Okay. New business, resolution 01-26-01, a resolution authorizing the appropriation officials of Marlboro County to proceed with the issuing and sale of not to exceed $3 million special revenue bond as previously approved by the County Council in Ordinance 874 and at October 14, 2025, an action by the State Fiscal Accountability Authority dated December 9, 2025, and other matter related thereto. The resolution. This is the Delta Building. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Mr.
Do you
West.
have any questions about this? Of course, this is for the Delta Mill site project, and this provides funding to make the improvements that you've already received information on.
No, I think we done went over this with a fine tooth comb, I believe.
Mr. Chairman, with that, I make a motion we approve resolution 01-2601.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? It is unanimous. Appointment to boards and commission. I have one, Ms. Rivers, can we, get to Ms. Patricia Hennigan to appoint her back to the library board? I'll get you the information if you don't already have it.
She sent, I got an email saying that
should be interested in doing, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else got any more appointments to board?
I do wanna mention that, you know, we've been out since the last meeting, a lot of people's been sick, but we're reaching out, and we're gonna go ahead and get another schedule together for those boards and commissions to start coming back to council. And I know the airport board came, and we did have the housing authority, we're gonna get them to come back. And we're gonna also get, zoning, we're gonna get in touch with them, and just, I know council has some questions that we wanna ask some of these boards, so we're gonna go ahead and get them to come back and council.
Okay,
I don't have, we haven't been able to get in touch with everyone to really get a consensus on when they wanna come to the report, but we're gonna get there. It won't be all the same meeting, it'll be staggered, so it won't just take us much time, so.
gotcha.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Can I ask Mr. Clyburn this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you heard anything from TDR, as far as about appointment to a board? They sent you any kind of information? PDRTA, excuse me.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, I haven't got any response.
I think they're supposed to be sending you some type,
Okay,
documentation as far as, of this council to make a decision on that board.
okay, I'll look out for that.
Thank you.
Okay, except there's a bid, we have nothing bidded out. Reports.
Do we need to vote on those to put on the committee? I know you had one to go.
Oh, yeah, I forgot, yeah.
I'm with
Yeah,
you.
yeah, okay, yeah, Ms. Hennigan, I appoint her to the library board. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Okay, all in favor to put Ms. Hennigan back on the library board? It is unanimous.
Before we move on, when do we, at what point do we do the report?
He gonna do it rather than Mr. West.
I don't have to respond.
Okay, you can do the report.
Okay. Okay, financial reports.
Well, good evening, Mr. Chairman, council members. You have before you the report for the 6 months ending December 31, 2025. Revenues total $4,845,701 in comparison to $4,689,470 for the 6 months period ending December 31, 2024. General fund expenditures through December 31, 2025 totaled $7,938,842 of a $16,492,894 budget, or 48.13% of budget year to date. General fund expenditures totaled $8,086,130 of a $14,748,543 budget, or 54.83% of budget for the same 6 months ending December 31, 2024. So, in conclusion, revenues are slightly higher than the prior year, and expenditures are slightly lower than last year to date. In conclusion, I think our budget's on target. I don't see any issues with us being able to come in terms of expenditures under budget for the upcoming year. Hopefully have a positive, result in terms of fund balance for fiscal year ending June 30th of 26.
Okay.
And there's any questions about the report?
I do. Thank you, sir. Again, I guess this 2026, we'll see how it looks when
Right.
January comes, right? As far as
Yeah,
that.
it'll
Stay
stay
there,
there
okay.
because it does report
That is December of
as
2026.
if it's a 2026 fiscal year.
Right, so maybe whatever glitch is in that, but thank you so much. Question I just have as far as in revenue there. The one that has to do with, the transfer,
Right.
why is that in a negative there into the revenue there? $21,000.
There was a reimbursement in that period, so that was in the current period, but on a year-to-date
And then on number code enforcement credit card,
Okay?
can you explain what that is? And that's what's left in that budget, but can you give me an idea exactly what that is?
The code enforcement, department receives credit cards for payment of permitting and fees. And so we do have a separate, line item for credit card fees. One thing we're monitoring, because there is a fee involved with that, we separate that. Of course, we do collect the fee associated with those credit card expenditures of convenience fee.
Okay. Well, I wanna just say that it does look like the budget, that everything is, on task. And, will there be a need to meet with the department heads like the first of the year, so that they'll have an idea of Mr. Clyburn for us?
Yes.
So they'll understand about it? Okay,
Getting that. And we are still gonna do our budget though, for the council to
okay.
kind of give you an idea of moving forward with the rest of this fiscal year, how to come in, what I did last year.
Thank you.
My next report has to do with cash balances. Your, some questions in terms of looking at cash balances. This typically ends up being our low spot because it's prior to the transfer that takes place in January from the collections of real estate taxes that take place before the end of December. So, next month, I think you'll continue to see the cash balances grow over the next, few months.
Didn't you say to us that the monies that we allocate from that 5% tax credit, the tax amount from our taxes, from our personal taxes going to Northeastern Tech, did you say you do that monthly check?
5 mills that we collect on behalf of Northeastern Technical College. And roughly that represents probably about $400,000 that they receive from county residents. But that amount is paid directly to Northeastern Technical College, and we don't actually maintain any, we don't receive any information on exactly how they're utilizing that. I'm sure it's a part of their overall budget, but
But we don't get any reports from them, right?
we do not, no.
Okay.
Okay?
But there's nothing that prevents us from requesting.
No, certainly, we could, I think maybe that might be something that we'll try to work on for this upcoming month.
Well, I wasn't here when that got issued to Northeastern Tech. Can anyone give us some insight on how that decision was made for them to get that?
What the
allocation of
actual
5 mills.
allocation of the 5 mills, it was a part of an ordinance that was adopted, and some of that had to do with the fact that they were acquiring the former Winn-Dixie building, and there was a part of the millage that they were using to actually maintain that actual facility there. That obviously did increase their costs when they acquired that, whether it was utilities, insurance, other related costs.
So that was an ordinance that was passed by this council, but not,
That's
but
correct.
not, right, okay.
So we may need to review that ordinance.
And maybe one of the things we might want to talk about is, as we go through the budgetary process, have that discussion with Northeastern Technical.
Thank you.
Yeah. The last report has to do with projects. There have been presented questions in particular about the project-related expenditures that we collected. To answer those questions.
Okay. Anything else from, Mr. West? Thank you, sir. You wanna go next, Jay? You go next. Mr. Clyburn, let, Mr. Steen go ahead and get his,
Yeah, just as far as the Public Services Committee met, last week, I think it was, and regard to, municipal solid waste, cause the contract, you know, we were up, we did the extension, so we met and we talked, and there was an email sent out, I think, to all council members, but I'm just gonna kinda let everybody know where it was at. And so there was two companies that actually bid. It was Meridian Waste and Waste Connections. Waste Connections is who we have now. So that was the two we had to, that completed in the timeline. And so that's the two that we come up with evaluation and try to evaluate what it was. And, one thing was pricing was the majority of it. I think it was like at 60%. And so then the other things was past experience. Then you had some, availability to, transfer or scale up if you receive the contract. And so that was the kind of the majors. And so everybody was there. We didn't know who it was. You just kind of had to grade it off of what you had. They give us 2 packets and we kind of looked at it. But it's when one price is, there's that substantial difference, it's hard to make up the difference with past experience, because with the other one, we have no experience with them, so, but that's where it was. And so there was a recommendation, I guess it's from the public services to continue with Waste Connections with a new.
And that'll come up in the next,
Yeah.
the next council.
The next council meeting, but that'd be a recommendation, but they'll go out for RFP and try to dial in some things with it, so, but that's where we were as far as that committee.
And to be clear, we don't have a contract, we didn't give them a contract or anything, so we can still, you know, make sure that we have some assurances in the contract before we
Correct.
even, you know, get that. So we
This
do
was just
have,
the evaluation of the ones that come in to kind of find out where we were at with it and see, what direction we should go in.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Clyburn.
good evening, and first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. I do wanna mention a few things, and then I'll be, you know, happy to answer questions. First of all, the city of, Bennettsville, Marlboro County, and South Carolina State University is sponsoring a small business network and resource forum, and that will be, for all small businesses throughout Marlboro County, Thursday, January 22nd, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, and that'll be at our banquet hall at the golf complex. So again, that's a small business network and resource forum. We're giving small businesses a chance to kind of get some information on getting contracts and then networking with one another. But that's something we're sponsoring with the city of Bennettsville and South Carolina State University, and that's for all businesses in Marlboro County. The second thing I want to mention to you is recreation. So right now we have a full basketball schedule that's posted on our Facebook page and website. The full schedule for the whole year, and we are going to be playing games in Clio, McCall, and Blenheim. The practicing is in Bennettsville, but we play the games in other, parts of the county. We want to give everyone a chance to get close to some of those games. Also, baseball and softball signups will be next couple of weeks, and we'll get some more information about that. We'll publicize that, and we will be playing games around the county. We had some, want to make sure we get to CW Love as well. We're going to look at the field down in Blenheim, make sure we get some games in Clio, and as well as in Bennettsville. So we're going to make sure we spread it out pretty good. But it is based on the condition of the fields. We got to make sure those fields, and we don't own CW Love Park, so we're working with McCall right now to make sure that field is where it needs to be ahead of time. We don't want to wait till the last minute and then trying to get games put over there. We're going to make sure a healthy amount of games are in each area. So we're going to spread out a lot better this year. Track will also be signing up shortly. I do want to mention about the Aquatic Center. Everything has been approved by the city, DHEC, and most recently we just had a meeting with DOT for the easement to go ahead and start the work. That's been given, and so the construction crew, they are currently mobilizing. As you know, with the delay like we had, a lot of them take on other work, some of the subcontractors.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Can we make sure that mic's on? Somebody said you can't hardly hear from that mic for the live meeting. I just want to make sure either we step into it or whatever. Just
So what I will say is I did just cut it on right before I started. So yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was off.
Okay.
So
sounds good.
yeah, that's true. So yeah, but we will be starting as soon as they can get mobilized. They were on other projects because of the delay. And now I'm happy to answer any questions.
I got one, not a question, just observation. being a member of, but that ran Park Recreation for years, it is best for, the crew during these winter months to do the sand and the dirt on these ball fields now. That way the weather had opportunity to pack it down. Last year and the year before that, what they do, they wait till March and try to work on the
Oh, yeah,
field.
we're working on that now.
Yeah, so,
We're
but
doing that now.
they bring in the clay and the sand and everything in January. When the weather come in, it be packed down, be good and solid.
Right.
So, cause I know a lot of workers, and they don't have nothing to do but cut grass, but they can work on the fields now.
No, that's a good observation.
Yeah.
We are working on those now.
Yeah, cause they had good weather last week, no doubt. That's just, my observation, I know.
Mr. Clyburn, with the Aquatic Center, you elaborated that thus far, everything's okay with DHEC?
Yes, we received everything from the city of Bennettsville, DHEC, and from DOT. We need to have all three of those in place. DHEC for the land disturbance, and for also the drainage and that kind of thing. The city, because of it is in the city and the planning, and we had to do with that. And DOT, because we are doing some work on the road and getting some boring to go from one side to the other, so we had to get some DOT approval, and we've gotten all of that now. We met with them on the 7th, that Wednesday, and so after that meeting, they said that we have everything in place, and we just need to go ahead and mobilize and get going.
So when we get mobilized, what would be the first step? Engineers or what?
No, the engineering has been done. The mobilize is to get the actual crew out there, and the first thing you're gonna do is, of course, clear the trees that are out there laying down. Because we couldn't even get those stumps and everything because of DHEC. We needed land disturbance to get that done, so we're gonna go ahead and get that first, and then, I don't wanna say what's next, but I know we'll start the actual construction.
I just wanted a clear understanding of
Right.
what's the next step.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next on the agenda is the election of officers. Every January, the council, vote on a chairman and a vice chair. And I wanna, first of all, open it up for a nomination for the chairman.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to nominate Dr. Damon Johnson for chair of the council.
Any more nomination? Here, anybody, any more nomination?
I'd like to nominate Bert Odom.
Okay. Any more nomination? Okay, and let's, if there's no more nomination, we're gonna close it?
I would like to nominate, Pearlie Lawson for vice chair.
Okay, we do chair, then we do vice chair, okay, all right. So, there's no more nomination for chair, Bert Odom and Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson was the first one nominated. All in favor for Dr. Johnson to be chair, show of hands, please. That's 4. Bert Odom, show of hands. 4. Okay, that is a tie. We're going by the rules. If there's a tie, the current chairman will stay in the seat until the next meeting, and we'll do it again. Okay? For vice chair, can I get an motion for, nomination for vice chair?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to, nominate Ms. Pearlie Lawson for vice chair.
Okay. Any more nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, we close it. So, Ms. Lawson, you'll be the vice chair. Vice chairperson? Okay. All in favor for Ms. Lawson to be the vice chair, show of hand, please. Unanimous. Okay. All right. At the next meeting, we would, vote for the chair. That'd be the first order of business before we, after we, do the invocation and the, pledge of allegiance. The first thing we do is, elect of officers, okay?
So, just to be clear, Mr. Chairman, we do have a call meeting coming up
On the 21st.
on the 21st. Do we wait till the next
Let me
scheduled meeting?
follows
schedule meeting, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cause with call me, somebody might not show up and they don't want nobody be neglected. Alrighty. We got, recognition of council members. Bert Oda, let's start with you first.
I'd like to remind the council and the public too that, on January the 30th, our annual legislative breakfast, will be, at the Marlboro County Recreation Complex, Golf and Recreation Complex. It's, like I said, January 30th, that's a Friday morning, from 7:30 to 9. Most of our delegation should be there. Senator Scott, Congressman Fry, Senator Graham, they will have representatives that will be there too, and there will probably be other people. But anyway, I'd like to particularly remind all the council, it's always a good thing to go and meet your representatives and have a little one-on-one time with them. And that's pretty much all I've got. That's the biggest thing. It's 7:30 to 9.
What day again?
AM, yeah.
Oh, AM.
AM. It's a breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast.
It's a breakfast.
Boy, I tell you, boy, it's early, that's early, that's early. I tell you.
And,
So what day that is?
It's the 30th, it'll be Friday morning.
Friday morning?
Yep. And like I said, it'll be at the Marlboro County Golf and Recreation Complex. That's pretty much, stop by the registration office today, and I mean, it's just amazing every time I go in there, the job that Mr. Clyburn and of course with the support of council did. We just got a world-class facility up there where those girls work at. And got a lot of elections coming up in the county. They went over some of that stuff today. I think we have 4 council seats coming up. We have 5 school board seats coming up, which will be in, I guess, August is when they sign up, and the chairman. So, and then you have your, we're gonna be electing a governor for the first time in 10 years. There's 5 candidates on the Republican side, and I think 2 on the Democrat side, even though they haven't, signed up, they have announced that they're running. And then you'll have a new Attorney General, since Attorney General Alan Wilson is running for governor. So we're gonna have, I think there's 5 people running for Attorney General, and then Controller General, and all that. And then, of course, the county offices, auditor, I think the auditor is up, probate judge.
No, yeah, I'll be a probate judge. I know you got the, superintendent of education also.
I think the auditor, superintendent,
Yeah.
or the chairman of the county, chairman of the school board.
Yeah.
The auditor, I think she just announced today that she's not gonna run for reelection. So,
The auditor?
auditor.
Yeah, Miss Deborah?
Well,
Miss Deborah.
yeah. That's what Chrissy said. She said that, she told me that this afternoon that the auditor called her and said she has decided not to run for reelection. But anyway.
A lot of seats.
Lot of important elections, and we need to get the turnout like everywhere else across the state, And 2024, the primary elections and across the state of South Carolina, 13.5% of the people in the state voted. In Marlboro County, we voted 36%, which is still poor, but we voted 2.5 times what the state average was. So that's a credit to those ladies that work, Christy and Miss Helen and them that work in the voter registration office.
We also, don't forget, we have 2 state offices, both representatives, are up in 2026. We have every 2 years.
Right, all 124 House seats are up, and there are some Senate seats. Of course, JD just got elected, so that seat won't be up. But all 124 of your House seats are up every 2 years. And then, of course, your 7 United States congressional seats, Russell Fry, Mr. Clyburn, and all of the 7 of them, all those seats will be up too. So big election year in 2026.
Okay. Mr. Black?
I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody, and we'll try to get things going and do some good stuff this year.
Happy New Year, everyone. Just excited about going into my 2nd year. And I think I'm ready to see some groundbreaking, some things happen for Marlboro County. And I'm just excited. And I I like the enthusiasm of different council members because it's all about enthusiasm and it's all about what's best for this county. You know, I mean, we can talk about what's going on in the world, this and that, but what's going on in Marlboro County? You know, our constituents, you know, voted us in this position to see some things happen. I'm tired of going places and Marlboro last and Marlboro ain't doing this, Marlboro ain't doing that. I think it's time to see some progression and some growth and just see something put in the ground to say, hey, we on the right track, we're going in the right direction. That's what I'm ready to see.
Mr. Steen?
I do want to say, as everybody else, just Happy New Year. Looking forward to what 2026 is going to bring for all of us and continue to move forward. There was an issue on the bridge on number 9 between 912 and Brickyard Road. And so they have degraded that bridge down to where tractor trailers cannot go across it coming this way. So they have to go all the way around from 912 all the way down to the paper mill and turn to come all the way back in to come into town. So I've seen it and it affects a lot of people. And so I've contacted Representative Luck and he gave me an update this afternoon. He talked with DOT and he says the bridge has still piles that are compromised below the water line. And it said the in-house state bridge company department, it was more than they could do, so they put it on an existing contract with North and South Santee Bridge Repair out of Georgetown, and hopes that that'll be moving forward. So that'd be the fast way to get it repaired. And that's a lot of commerce coming. I mean, you've got a lot of extra freight that you have to go all the way around just to come into town. There's no other way to do it for a tractor trailer. So, but he says he does not have an exact timeline, but he should have some updates within the next couple weeks. I know we got Palmetto Brick, that's a business there. Service Transport's a big business there, so they're trucking companies in my area. So, you know, it's just one of the things we wanted to address and find out what it was, so we can, you know, so, I mean, I know a lot of economic development comes that way, so, but like I said, so we'll let them know kind of where it is, and so Representative Luck's on top of that for us.
Dr. Johnson?
Happy New Year.
Mr. Vice Chair?
Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Happy New Year to all of us, because it's good to be alive, I can say that amount, and it's good to be healthy. I just want to thank each of you for the support that you've given me this evening. I will do my best to always try to be fair. I like accountability. I will communicate things that I know and will share with you all, and I will always ask for transparency. So thank you for this opportunity, and I will do my best, and I thank the Lord for it.
Mr. Mees?
I just look forward to working with you guys and, you know, for the betterment of the county this coming year.
Okay. We made a lot of movement. We shook a lot of bushes in 2025. A lot of leaves falling down now. And in 26, we're gonna be a launching pad for us. We got a lot of irons in the fire with Tony McNeil, the work you're doing. Wes and your team, you know, keeping the numbers going, with Clyburn and everything that you do. Andrew, keep us straight whenever we get out of line. But in 26, you know, it's a new day, a new year. We got a good team here, and we will continue to push forward. Susan, I thank you as the chairman. Thing you helped me with, and whoever be the next chair, gonna rely on you often, like I did. So, a lot of people don't know how important the clerk of the council is to the chairman until they be in the seat as the chairperson. She opened up a lot of doors. She can make a lot of painful situations be painless. And I thank you for the 2 years I had. And the next month I'm gonna have. But anyway, Happy New Year to everybody. And if anything else, all mine, we have one more.
Yeah, I've got two things I sort of overlooked. People that travel 15401, you'll see that Palmetto Paving is working on 401. They're building the 1-inch tapers on each side of 401 from Jack Sanders to the bypass. That's where they continued from last year's work. they're putting 1-inch, extensions on each side of the road, so the road's gonna be 1 inch, excuse me, 1 foot. It's gonna be 2 foot wide on each side of the road, so they're gearing up for the paving of the rest of that area from Jack Sanders to, Bennettsville. And, just so you know, the big splotches in the road, I've had complaints of that over the years. Why are they doing that? Those are the low places in the road that their micrometer that they use shows that the grass and dirt are coming up. So they have to build that up so when the paving machine comes through, it won't have to stop. It'll just come through and pave, and you won't have that dirt and stuff coming up through the new pavement. And the other thing is CSX Railroad, I met with their supervisor last Friday in McCall on 401, and if you've been that area or anywhere down that railroad track, you see they've got ties from Hamlet, North Carolina, all the way to Florence, South Carolina. Well, they started yesterday morning from Hamlet coming to Florence, South Carolina. They're replacing the ties and they're replacing the crossings. And if you follow me on Facebook or whatever, I'm giving updates, and they're not to McCall. Probably won't get there this week. But there's a lot of people in Marlboro County that work in Laurinburg. There's a lot of people in Laurinburg that work in Bennettsville. So that crossing will be taken out probably sometime next week, but I will have it posted and let people know how long it's gonna be out while they're replacing the, tracks. Cloud has got such a terrible crossing, and every time that they pave, it goes up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And I asked the engineer what they can do about it, and he said that they could do the approach to it and the exit off of it, smooth it out. That's the South Carolina DOT's work.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna do it at this short notice, you know. But that's something down the road. I know Clio is just, you just about got to stop on 381, or don't you go tear your car up, you know. But anyway, I will have it posted when they will be working. I've had people from Clio send me a message, when are they gonna take the Clio, crossing out. So I'll have all that posted. So the main two would be Clio and 15401. So many people travel that road, you know. But,
I did get a message from Senator Chapman. He said he wanted to be here today, but he said we'll be here at the next council meeting. Cause he said we got out of the session late, and I told him don't rush it, you know. So he said he'll try to be here next meeting in February. May I get a motion? If anybody got anything else? Second. Motion second, meeting is adjourned.